it's me Alex. Today I'm really excited because today I'm filming a first impressions get ready with me using the new Melt She's in Parties palette. This came in the mail about 3 days early, so that threw off what I was actually going to be filming today. In fact, I even took all of the makeup that I was previously wearing off in order to film this. I will be filming a 3 Luxe One palette with the Colored Rain Safari Rain. That's something I'm going to work on over the weekend, but I was very excited and I really wanted to play with this. I couldn't not have this in my possession and not film with it. I know I anti-hauled it, but then I got overexcited and I kind of looked at my collection a little bit and looked at the kinds of palettes that I had, and I decided, you know what? This is a color story that is a bit more on the neutral side, but it really does attract me. It makes me very happy. It's like my kind of neutral colors because I love a good smoky look, I love a good purple look, and I'm very happy that when I got this in person, like, I was excited for it even if it did lean a little bit more brown, because brown eyeshadow isn't my thing. I don't have a lot of it, but the burgundy brown tones that I had seen some of the swatches have still really appeal to me because I love those sorts of tones of browns. And now that I have it in person, I can even see that it leans a little bit more just like warm purples, like still a bit of burgundy, but still definitely purple in there too. So I'm very excited about it, and honestly, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get into like the makeup part. Pardon my eyebrows, I did have to redo them. Well, I had previously was going to have a job interview this morning, so I did very natural makeup, but then that one got moved, so now I'm filming this instead of doing that. So I redid my brows and they look much less good than how I did them this morning, but I don't want to do them anymore. Let me zoom y'all in and we can just get on into the makeup. As always, I'm going to begin with the NYX HD Eyeshadow Primer because I like that one a lot. It is pretty great. And I'm very excited about this palette. My roommate's also very excited about this palette because they were also interested in the Urban Decay Ultraviolet palette, but I told them that if this one is good, they should get this one instead of that one because I think this one is less expensive. And I think this one has a better matte to shimmer ratio. Not that there are necessarily more mattes in this one, but there's a lot more variety of mattes. So there are 3 mattes and 5 shimmers. But instead of the Urban Decay palettes, which usually have very, very light mattes, there's 1 light matte, 1 mid-tone matte, and 1 deep for me matte. Or, well, that's actually pretty deep for a lot of skin tones. I feel like there could be one even darker. But I think that that is a pretty good, like, range of matte shades. Now, as far as the colors that I'm interested in using on my eyes, I definitely want to use the shade Strangelove. So I think I might do what I always do and do a half-cut crease, perhaps, and kind of see where that takes me. I should have washed my brushes, but like I said, I didn't know this one was coming today. Change of filming schedule. Heck, I might even try and get this up tonight, I don't know. But first I am going to begin, since I think I want to do like kind of a lot of contrast between the crease color and like the lid shade. I'm gonna begin with Last Caress as my transition, and I'm just taking that on the Elf and J. Kissa J3 brush here, which I've come to really like for kind of a transition brush because I think this one blends pretty nicely. So I'm just putting that in my crease. I'm just kind of nervous because I know melt palettes can be rather hit or miss, and I'm hoping that this one will be a hit because I really do enjoy this color story and I honestly just couldn't resist it. I did wait until I got to Sephora though, so I had a little bit of self-control, like for a few days there, right? So let me try and blend this up a little bit. You know, kind of how I do. I try and begin it right in my crease, and then I'd really try and work it up onto my brow bone. This is interesting. I don't know if you can see, it's like kind of skipping right here. Like you can get it in the crease and you can get it right above it, but I don't know if that's something to do with my skin or the shade itself or the brush, but I'm really just kind of packing it on. It has very nice pigmentation. So let me see what it does on the other side, and then I can kind of determine. That one I think is going a little bit better so far. This eye is blending a little bit better, so I'm assuming that it might just be like, you know, maybe a little bit of like rough skin around my eye or something. Maybe the primer didn't diffuse as it normally does, so I don't think that's necessarily a shadow issue. And plus, it's usually right where the crease gets cut anyway, so I'm not the most concerned about it. Today's just a good day. I'm very excited because this just came in today as I was eating lunch. Hamilton is premiering on Disney Plus today, which is exciting. The Animal Crossing update happened this morning. I love diving in Animal Crossing. It is amazing. It was so fun. Like, I know it's a little thing, but we can go swimming now, and I like that. And I'm gonna work that a little bit on the outer corner. I'm super excited about that. That's so good. Let me see what I can do for these edges here. So this is how it's blended so far. I'm not mad at it. I think once I layer it up, it'll look a little bit better. It might just be, I don't know, maybe I should have cleaned my brush beforehand properly. I don't know, but I'm not mad at how this looks. I think once I kind of finish up the look, it'll layer up properly. I am noticing like a little bit of patchiness towards like, well, like the inner portion is just kind of being a little bit weird on both sides, but I don't know if that's a me thing or a palette thing, so we shall see. Now, to really deepen it up, I really want to play with some of the more burgundy tones in this too, not just the lavendery shades. I'm going to go in with Mean Streak here, and I'm using the Elf & J Kissa J4 brush, which is a little bit more precise, and I'm going to begin that at the outer corner to deepen it up, and then I can kind of work its way into the crease. I'm just like working its way through there. Okay, and I think, well, let me finish this on, let me do the same thing on this eye, and then we'll see what my next step will be. Because I like how this color is working. This is very nice, very pigmented. It plays exactly how I want it to. That's blending with the other purple shade very nicely. So what I'm going to try and do is go back in with more of the previous shade on that same brush that I was using before and just blend that along the outer edges, and I think that'll probably achieve what I want it to. Or I thought. Okay, so right now I'm feeling like this eye is blending a little bit better than this eye. Like, I don't know, you can see a little bit more of a gradient here, whereas this one has a very pretty, like, thick line of demarcation there, basically. So I'm just going to, I guess I should just keep going and blending and see what I can do. I also just don't want it to become muddy, but I don't know. Okay. Well, at the very least, what you can always do in a situation where you're not sure how well the crease is blending, you can just go over it with a little cut crease type situation. So I'm going to whip out my e.l.f. glitter glue in this little pencil brush, which is basically how I always do a half cut crease when it comes to shimmer shadows. This isn't anything special that I'm doing to try and make this one work or anything. This is how I always do my eye makeup. I'm just going to apply that how I normally would. Just begin at my lash line and then look up and blend it that away. And that looks like it'll pretty much cover up the parts where it's looking a little bit patchy on this eye. So I think that's good. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure if the fact that this eye is blending really well and this one isn't, I don't know if that's something to, I don't know if that's a palette thing or my skin thing, since, you know, it is working pretty well on one side. Okay, so I am kind of going to do a little bit of a gradient of the shimmers. That way I can work with a few more of the shades, get as much of a first impressions as I can. So I'm going to begin with the shade She's in Parties right here, which is a more burgundy. And I'll begin that towards the outer portion of the cut crease. And I'm just using this little BH Cosmetics eye brush here. Now that's really lovely. Like, even when I feel like going onto the brush, it feels very, very nice and like a very smooth shimmer. And so I'm kind of just focusing that towards the center here. That is a very, very, very nice shimmer. I love shades like this in general. I love burgundies. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I got this palette. I think colors like these are very, very flattering with my hair color, and they make my heart very happy. I think actually just for the inner portion, I'm just going to take like the other side of this brush and go in with the shade Strange Love, which is honestly the shade I'm most excited about out of all of these. I think this is going to be, if this is the kind of formula that I think it's gonna be, it's gonna look beautiful. Oh, it's chunky. She's chunky. A little bit like even fell off in my hand, but I'm also aggressive. I'm so glad I decided to not do my base first for this. And I'm going to kind of blend that into the burgundy there, so that way it's a little bit more of a gradient rather than a strict line there. Okay, so that had a lot of fallout, but honestly that's what I like in a shimmer shadow. That's one of the reasons that I do really like Melt's shimmers. I feel like Melt and Huda Beauty do very good shimmer shadows. They're nice and like chunky and textured, and I personally really like that. It definitely makes for a bit of a messy eye, but I always do my eyes first before I go in and do my base makeup, so I am very okay with that. I think what I'm gonna do is just like pat it in instead of like digging in like I kind of normally do because I'm a menace. Oh yes, this is beautiful. Okay, I think doing the cut crease kind of helped the blending look a little bit better, because honestly now the eyes look like they were done by the same person. That was what my concern was before, is just that this eye looked a lot more patchy, more unblended, whereas this eye looked kind of how I normally do my eye looks, even if it is a bit on the smokier side than what I kind of normally do. I'm going to definitely have to play with this a little bit more to figure out what happened there, but the fact that this eye like looked good even without the shades I put on my lid, I'm not super concerned that it's going to be a flop. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my entire like base makeup, and then I'll be back for more eyeshadow. Okay, so I'm back. I have done the rest of my face. I decided to use like some of my Fenty face products, including their Rosé Latte blush, which I think looks pretty good. I think that kind of fits the same tones as this eye look. So now I'm gonna do the lower lash line, which I'm not sure what I want to do. I think I kind of just want to mimic my crease as I usually do, but I also kind of want to use some of the other shades, so I don't know. Oh no, we have to see. I'm gonna try the shade Last Caress again. That was the one that I had a little bit, like, it's very nice and pigmented, but it didn't blend as well on this eye as I hoped. So maybe if I use it as a lower lash line shade, then that might be a bit better. Okay, that's looking nice on the lower lash line. Also, these colors are just flattering my eyes very nicely. I like it a lot. I'm going to just see if maybe this brush might help it blend a little bit more on this eye, just to kind of see if that might help a little bit. It's whatever. I don't know if that made much of a difference, but you know. And then I'm just going to go in with Mean Streak towards the outer portion, so that way I can blend that with the outer corner. And I realized I didn't properly blend the like cut crease shade with the outer corner, so I'm just going to very lightly kind of tap over the edge of that with that same matte shade. Just because I don't want to completely just like say, okay, I'm gonna do the inner corner highlight and not really do much else. I'm gonna just use a little bit of Sleepwalk in the inner portion of my lower lash line. This may or may not like actually make a big difference, but I just want to use one more shade, you know? Okay, and then for my inner corner highlight, the obvious choice is going to be Skeleton Kiss right here, which I'm really excited about because it looks like a peachy shade with like a pinky shift. I don't know, I'm excited. This is gonna be cute. Oh, that's beautiful. That's my kind of light shimmer shade. I like it a lot. Okay, so now I'm just going to do my mascara and my lipstick, and then I'll be right back with some first impressions. Okay, so I'm back. This is my finished look. The lipstick that I used is Vampy Violet from e.l.f. I felt like it would give me a nice little cute little monochromatic look, so I think that looks really nice together. Maybe I should have worn a darker shirt, I don't know. So my first impressions on this palette, I'm having some mixed feelings. Like, I'm about 80% there on loving this, but I liked basically all the shades that I used except for Last Caress. That one gave me a little bit of difficulties, especially on this eye. This eye was a little bit easier to work with, so I want to kind of see and work a little bit more with it to see if maybe it was just like something I was doing today. Maybe I need to use a different brush, different primer, things like that before I determine that it's like too far gone. Because I feel like the other matte shade that I used, Mean Streak, the darker one, that one blended pretty nicely. It was still a little bit difficult, but that's just because it's a very dark matte. And I find that very interesting about melt shadows in general. It's like either the mattes blend really well together or they really don't. Like in the Muerte palette and in the Gemini palette, I feel like the mattes work pretty well, but in the Radioactive palette I have, the mattes are like, the darker mattes especially are a little bit, they're not my favorite thing. That is kind of what's keeping me from loving it. I am really happy with the shimmers. I am a huge fan of Melt's shimmer formula just in general, and I feel like this palette is no exception. Especially Strange Love. That one is what I have like towards the inner portion, as you saw, and I do really like it. I think that they have a very good shimmer formula. It's definitely the sort of shimmer that you would want to, like, you want to do your eyes before you do the rest of your face, but that really doesn't inconvenience me at all because that's just generally how I do my makeup. So I'm thinking maybe if I can work with the mattes a little bit more, maybe it's one of those things where I have my techniques of like really packing on mattes and then like blending it out. Maybe it's something that if I do it in a more buildable fashion, it might work a little bit better, because I know that my technique doesn't always work for every eyeshadow formula, so we'll see how that goes. Overall, I think that this is a pretty good, it feels like a pretty good palette. I just, like I said, I want to figure out the mattes. I don't want to write it off yet, and I also know that I might be making excuses because I really fucking love this color store and I love melts, just like everything. So we'll see how I actually feel when I come back and do a full review. So yeah, basically if you are in this palette for the shimmers and you love some good dark smoky shadows, I think this would be really nice. I think this is very flattering on my eye color. I really like the look that I came up with. I think it is very beautiful. It is very smoky. It's not something you can get a lot of light looks out of by any means. I might try and do kind of very, like a little bit more of like a lighter lilac-y look with just like these 4 shades and kind of see how that goes. I'm also wondering if Last Caress might be one of those shades that might be better for like deepening up this sort of transition shade instead of being a transition shade. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm just very stuck on that shadow. She's in Parties. It looks just kind of like a little bit of a satin shade with a hint of metallic in the palette, but when you actually look at it on the lid, I think it is a very beautiful shade. The shimmers blend together quite nicely. And I also really love Skeleton Kiss. This is one of, I love highlights like this. If I had thought about it, I would have used it as a highlight on my face today, but I love those sorts of shades that are like champagne with a hint of pink in them. I love the dimension that that gives, and I think that's very flattering because when you look at it on the inner corner, it looks very natural, but when you look at it up close on the inner corner, it's like, oh, that's like interesting, you know, and I really love shadows like that. So I think that this is a pretty good palette. I'll see, you know, first impressions aren't everything. I will see what other kinds of looks I can get out of that, and I will report back. And anyway, I think that is enough for this video, so thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe down below if you want to see more videos from me, and I will see y'all in my next one. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Bye!